Woo! It's so loud. Okay, there we go. We exist! We got eyeballs in suit. We've got our face skin. You can't see his nose. There we go. His nose. It's now going to work on gluing all of this onto this. Which is easier said than done. Normally, when I make fursuit heads, the nose is already glued on. But since we have a pickable nose, I have to do it like a weird roundabout kind of way. And of course, I haven't plugged in my hot glue gun because I don't have more than a brain cell. So, here we are. Also, this is Mochi Minky for his nose. And I felt like it wasn't stuffed enough. It wasn't puffy. It had some wrinkles and stuff and just didn't look as nice with just the foam. So I added some polyfill between the foam and the Mochi Minky. And that's just for the sake of kind of smoothing out the shape and making it look nice, since the Mochi Minky stretches so much. What are you doing, bud? Just laying in the middle of all of my cords directly in the way. Also, the new battery packs came in, and we're finally a quarter of the way through our battery. And it's been plugged in since just before 1. We plugged it in at like 12:45. So far, we've got 2-3 hours on it. And that's a quarter of the battery, which means that if each quarter is actually accurate, we've got 12-ish hours on a battery pack. Which isn't bad. The old ones used to do 16, so this one might also end up being 15, 16. I find that these little battery blurbs, the little lights, aren't usually accurate in the slightest for how much of the battery is actually being used. We got our fan running here. We're just gonna leave. We're doing stress testing, so I'm letting it run until it runs out of battery. And the thing is it came charged, so I don't know if it actually is fully charged, or if that's just how it showed up. Was mostly charged enough for it to look like full battery, so we'll at least know what generally a full charge looks like. Which, if I can get 12 hours, that's a good amount of time for a single run on a battery pack. They unfortunately didn't have the battery packs that I usually like to use anymore. They don't sell them, so we've got these round ones now, and they only come in white and black. The old ones were black, red, and blue for some reason. Not really sure why. Pig Mom! Hello! We're waiting for the hot glue gun to warm up so we can glue on his face skin. It's happening, I promise. Someday, eventually. You can see all the stuffing that I stuck in here. It's getting warm. It's oozing out the tip. Anyway. It's not very hot at the moment. It's warm at best. I wonder why it's oozing out, though. Especially since it's angled upwards. There must be a lot of pressure in there. This is how I know if my hot glue is hot enough. Is how hot is it, and what is the cooldown rate, I guess. Because, like, here, right? Feels kind of hot. That's some good adhesion right there. And that's a good consistency. If it burns a little and it sticks real goodly, that's how you know it's ready. Except I'm out of glue. There we go. Problem is the flow right now is not as nice as I'd like it to be. So we're gonna glue this top section on. Of this foam, anyway. Can you get out of there so you're not in my way? Lord. I'm contemplating on if I want to work on my animation or not. I've got 2 scenes done and a 3rd scene lined, which is a lot further than I got when I first started 4 to 5 years ago. I've seen you working on it. The audio itself just is very annoying to me. I didn't like the... I got it a lot on my TikTok, and it's so grating to me at this point. But your animation is looking really fucking good, my guy. And I've seen you got through like that whole second section in like, what, a couple days? Fully up to coloring and everything? You did a lot of fucking work. It's impressive. Yeah. We're gluing on the nose, it's getting there. Alright. I'm just gonna kind of lift up his face skin. Here, Antlers, hold his face skin. So we can glue the bottom half of his nose. Because now the glue's flowing. There we go. I want this to glue right here. And then I do also want to glue the actual center of the nose down so that it's a bit more, so it's held open, if that makes sense. That requires a little finesse. We'll see in a second, because we gotta go like this. And then we're coming from this other side. And I'm out of glue stick shit. Glue! Alright, so there's that. But now, because we want it to actually glue properly on the face, we're going to shove this in there. And that will forcibly hold it open, so that way it glues down properly. Because it is a pickable nose. It is a pickable nose. In fact, if I'm lucky, we can actually fit more than a Sharpie through. I usually try to make sure I can fit at least a Sharpie. But if I can fit more, I'm gonna go ahead and fit more, you know? And I need this fucking nose to glue down properly before it drives me nuts. Hot. Hot, hot, hot. It'll definitely get annoying to me near the end because I'm constantly watching it over and over, making sure it's flowing right. Right. I used to program Christmas light shows. There was a few years when I lived in New York where we actually did a light show on our house. Uh, and every minute of music takes about 8 hours of programming. So you're sitting here listening to fucking Christmas music for months before they start actually playing it in the stores, just trying to get it programmed before you even set up all your lights. And I had to do that every year, every new song. We had, I want to say, like 20 songs or so. So I'd sit there for hours on end with the Lightorama programming. Just doing that. Now we're going to shove this back in, because I'm not actually going to glue the nose to the foam. Because I find that's how you get like weird lumps and wrinkles. Oh, fuck. Damn it! Alright, get out of my fucking way! Stupid fur. I'm about to murder somebody. It's gonna be him. I'm gonna murder him. See, the problem is that since we got all this in here, that's hopefully cool down now. Okay, that's that. Oh, I'm getting testicles right now. It's frustrating. Because I go to glue one half and then the other half pops off. Glue. And stick. Anywho's, yeah. So it took a lot. I get that. And there's a lot of times you'd be sitting here for playing the same 3 seconds of audio over and over and over to make sure that your lights were moving in time with the music. So I was like 11, 12 at the time when I did that. And that's the closest I've gotten to actually like coding anything. And it was pretty much just a spreadsheet. It was pretty much just a spreadsheet. Just gotta make sure that the bottom half of his nose actually glues the fuck down. And then we're gonna go around the outer edge of his nose. Which actually I kind of do want to glue that a little more if I can. We'll take like the edge where the nose material meets the fur, and we're gonna glue that around the outer edge. We're not actually gonna glue the minky. Because I find generally that if you glue down directly on minky, it leaves wrinkles and ridges and shit like that, and it just doesn't look good. Whereas if you can pull it tight so that way it's smooth, and then just glue the outer edges, it looks a lot nicer. Okay, are we glued down now? Are we glued down enough to fucking behave? I'm gonna fluff this back up because I want to put a little bit down in there. So it's, you know, somewhat evenly full of stuffing. Give me your face skin. Just gonna... Yeah, and then once when we pull it taut, we'll have a nice snoot. Hard part is getting it taut in the first place. That's what you hot glue. Hot glue. Oh. These antlers are gonna get in my way and they're gonna piss me off too. That's alright. We'll figure it out, we'll get there. It might not look like I'm doing much, but I am gluing the top line nose at the moment. So then it'll be nice and snug over top of where that edge is. And then for my sake, I might also glue this center section. And then I debate trimming the eye fabric, just because there's probably going to be excess. But we'll figure that out when we get to it. Having excess can be good and it can be bad, so that's future me's problem. Because if you trim too much, you might have a really big gaping hole where your eye blanks are supposed to be. But if you don't trim enough, you'll have excess fabric that bags up everywhere, and you don't want that either. Normally, all of this is, not being a pain in my ass the entire time that I'm trying to glue shit down, but it has decided that today is my day, apparently, to be annoyed with fabric. Hydrate! Don't start this shit again. Don't start this shit again. I swear to God, if you send out 15 fucking hydrates. See, that's gonna be a real nice nose once we get that pulled snug. I have chalky milk today. Very chalky milk. I'm watching you. Keeping an eye on you guys. God fucking damn it. You're gonna run me out of milk, We're gonna run out of milk in this house. And juice, and Coke, and whatever other fluids we have. Everybody say hi to Bingle. She's here, she's vibing, she's being a cutie patootie. Isn't that right, Bingus? Yeah, you being a good girl. She's hanging out. She likes her chair. That's her spot. Alright. Now, if you do it right and you don't fuck it up, you'll have your nose glued on. That's just how it works. There we go. So now we're gluing around this side of the nose, getting that attached on nice and snug. She is staring. I don't know if she's staring at you guys, but she's just kind of staring up this way. Isn't that right, Bingle? So you're just watching. Watching what I'm doing all the time. Bingle says peeking. She's just like her sticker. She's just got her little face down there at the bottom of the screen. Boop da Bingle. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, you're good, Bingle. Who the fuck is calling me? California. I don't think so. I don't know why California would be calling me. Thank you for the check-in. If they leave a voicemail, I'll play it for you guys. Because it's probably just spam. I have hot glue on my fingy. Oh, there's a voicemail, guys! I apparently swiped it away. Hold on, we got this. I don't think I am a star. It is spam! Who would have thunk of? They've been calling me for like the last 3 or 4 days with this stupid automated robot. Which I never thought I'd say it, but I appreciate the stupid automated robot voice over the AI bullshit that they were doing for a little bit. My extended warranty! You're right, my car's extended warranty is about to expire. Fucking... I got, something. I don't know. I have to trim this fur in his nose. He's got nose hair. I got a call once, and it was an AI voice. And it almost got me. I almost thought it was a real person. Because she said, and she cleared her throat, and actually messed up something and started over her sentence and shit like that. Then she spoke too well. Like, she did that for all 2 seconds, and then immediately went into perfect speech. No mistakes, no odd pacing or anything like that. I'm like, that almost got me. Your boat's extended warranty. Yeah. Could you imagine that? An 8-year-old with a boat. There's a fuzzy. There's a fuzzy in my fur. There we go. Alright. So now our nose is glued on all nice. We just gotta do the rest of our face skin. Which is easier said than done. We're not gonna glue down here because this is gonna get sewn down nice and snug. Same for over here. But we do want to glue here and along the cheeks. Face skin. And then we'll also glue up here. So this is where I'm saying trimming the eyes could be a benefit or a problem. Because actually, if we come up along the eyes here, right, and we're going to tuck the skin, this is what'll make him look less creepy, is tucking the skin. I feel like I'm going to have to trim. Let's do that now, just while I'm here, and not later when it's going to be a pain in my ass. I'm going to trim right up to the tracing lines, get rid of that seam allowance. See, because now this gives us a perfect flush shape with that center bridge there. I might actually have... No, I'm still going to trim around the top too and stuff, but... Again, easier to do it now than later. Because right now all the skin's still loose enough that I don't have to wedge my way places to get it to... I'm poking my own ear out with this fucking antler. Tell you what, this suit is going to be a hazard. A hazard. It's dangerous. Please, for anyone who has 3D printed antlers, be fucking careful when you bend over. Make sure there's nobody directly in front of you that you're going to poke the eyeballs out of. Or anybody next to you that you might poke the eyeballs out of. Be aware of your surroundings before you lean your heads forward. Because, oh my god, somebody might die. Did you say pug deer? What the fuck? Oh, because of the loose skin. I see. Oh no. There we go. Alright. Now we've trimmed our eyeball. I can actually... Do I want to hot glue the eyeballs first, or do I want to hot glue the muzzle first? Usually I do the muzzle first, but it might be easier to go up the center line and work my way out on this suit. Just because he's got so much goddamn fur. So we're going to... Swoopies. The hard part is going to be like tucking him down into these corners. I might have to use my scissors to do that actually. We're going to start down here though. Oh, fucking fan. Shove my finger right into his fan. Normally not an issue, but it's currently on and I don't want to ruin the motor in it. It's alright, if the fan goes out, I still have it. I have backups I can replace, so. But, you know, ruining the fan is not exactly something I want to do either way. Prefer if we didn't. I keep fucking touching it. Because normally I reach in through the mouth to help support the eyes, which is not entirely necessary, but it's habit. You might want to plug this back in, actually. He's not liquid enough. Ouch. I don't have enough room. I keep fucking hitting the fan. Because I'm stupid. Apparently I am unable to learn from my previous mistakes. Get in there, fur. Which I think the biggest part of like face skin not looking creepy involves tucking the face skin around the eyeballs. Because once when you get that eyeball out, it looks so much nicer. He looks so much cuter than this other side of him. Like, it makes a big difference. Granted, he's still a little wonky on this eyeball, but it does make a huge, huge difference. Just work our way around, tucking the skin down. And then this way, when we go to glue, we can pull our skin away from the eyes and make it nice and flat and smooth, like so. Which is what we want to do. I'm actually going to start coming up from the top now, because this is where it's more snug and difficult to tuck in. Stupid goggles are in my way. Oh yeah, he's gonna be a cutie patootie. He's gonna be cutie patootie. Get your fucking antlers out of my way, I swear to God. Excess tufts everywhere. Which is actually, you know, glued down. There we go. That's one eyeball. And already he looks so much better just with his eyeball fucking loaded in. Yes. Now He is still very fuzzy. He is going to get a cleanup shape. They all do. And he'll look much, much cleaner once we do that. But and then, of course, he needs his top. His floof's all brushed out and stuff, too. That's, you know, future stuff like this will get trimmed and all that good stuff. But once, like, you'll see, we pull this nice and snug, and look at that. Look at how beautiful that looks. Meanwhile, we got this side of his fucking face. This is still looking creepy as fuck for no reason. Alright. Get out of here, excess fur. There we go. But I like to start off with the very bottom corners of the eyes, because that's where... Not in the mouth, we've learned. That's how you fuck up a mouth fan. Because this is like the hardest spot to actually tuck the fur down into. I'm gonna take off that excess glue. It's right there in the corner of the eyes. Because it tends to be the tightest spot with the foam and the lining. So if you start with your hardest spot, it makes it easier when it gets, you know, not as flexible as you go around. And of course, depending on your suit, it depends on your eye shape, it depends on how snug your eyes are in your head in the first place, and yada yada yada. All that good stuff. And someday, one of these days, I'm going to make a pre-made, because there's something I've been requested several times, which is being able to swap out the eye blanks. And the biggest issue with that is, first off, getting the fur nice and flat underneath and having enough room for Velcro. Because that is ideally how I would attach them. Okay, that's not how we want to do this. Have to tuck in more, please. There we go. Much better. Because you gotta account for the thickness of your Velcro itself, and your fur, and all that stuff, in order for your eyes to come in and out. It's kind of difficult to do. Honestly, I might have a backing plate, might be the solution. It would be to have a permanently installed on the inside of the head, a plate, sort of like a flat version of the eye blanks, that has Velcro on that, on the back sides of the eyes that they butt up against and Velcro too. I think that might be the easiest solution. But it's one of those things where I don't want to offer it for commission until I have tried it out and know it's actually doable. Because I don't want to promise something that I can't actually do. Some things I know before I even do them, yes, that's absolutely doable, and I can, within a few seconds, have a plan in my noggin for how to achieve that. Other things, like removable eyes and stuff like that, are a bit more difficult and take some trial and error and may not succeed. And if I'm not 100% certain, or at least 99% certain that something will succeed, I'm not going to offer it for commission. But I will try it on a pre-made, because if it doesn't work, that's okay. It's a pre-made. And this is why buying your local pre-mades is important. I do want to do more feminine characters. I find I don't do... I would say like 90% of the suits I make are masculine. You know, they tend to be male or non-binary leaning, with very few feminine features, so I would like to do a suit that is a bit more feminine. I think a lot of that too is like when I do pre-mades, I don't do feminine features because I would like for people to be able to choose how they perceive that character, whether they perceive it as masculine or feminine. Because I have had a few pre-mades go on and get a little bit modified to look more feminine, but I very rarely do suits that have big eyelashes or long hair, features that are generally considered more feminine in general. And when I do pre-mades, I design them all gender neutral. There we go. And now he looks beautiful. And he's still mostly not glued down. I love when it gets to this point. My next big thing is like right here, I do have to actually sew around the antlers in order to get this to work the way I want to. But it's very important that we also actually get this under the antlers and not above. So I might have to glue it down first in order to do that. And then there's going to be like a seam right here that I have to sew. But we'll get this muzzle glued first. Just all of this down here. I also don't usually glue my lower jaws. I find that the sewing tension that I end up placing on it later on when I do all my mouth work is plenty on its own without having to be glued down. Which is pretty cool. Sometimes, though, I'll still glue it anyway. You know, just a little strip down the middle. Blech. Blech. There we go. And now we need another glue stick, because we're about out. Which, don't worry, my new hot glue sticks came in. This is... Oh, sorry, bud. This is what 5 pounds of glue sticks looks like for anybody who's curious. 5-pound box of glue sticks. But I still have a handful left, so we're going to use those first. It's always best to use your oldest materials first before moving on to your new ones. So, what in the world? How did you get tape in you? How can you guys just be doing things, man? Just adding some stripes here. I'm not going to go all the way in on the ears, just because I have to sew that seam later. And it's very, very difficult to sew through hot glue, so I'm just going to pull it snug. See it goes right here, I'm just going to pull it snug. With a very nice floof. And like I said, he is still pretty fluffy on the face, so we'll take him down shorter. Do all of his cleanup trimming and stuff later, so that way he doesn't get so scrunkly. Right now I use a 7 blade, but I debate switching to a 10, honestly. Although now that I've had my 10 sharpened, I worry that it'll be too short. So we'll see what the 7 blade does. 7s and 8s are the most common that you see in suit making. Because usually you go any shorter than that and you'll show the backing. Which is the last thing you want to do. Now I'm having trouble pulling up his face skin over here. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. They're gluing down his muzzle. Just letting us, clearly we don't need to glue that part. already held in place by what we have. Glue, glue, glue. This is flipped out of the way so it doesn't get ruined. You don't want to get glue on top of our fur. And we're out of glue stick. Oh my god. Fucking string ace! String ace. There we go. And pull this back down over the lower jaw. See, now right here we got some wrinkles that we don't want, so we're going to smooth, 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 smooth. It's alright to have excess fabric at your edges. In fact, that's what you want. Because then that gives you... It's better to have more than not enough. Because we can always trim off the excess. I do need to re-glue this particular spot right here. Another glue stick. Reloading! You want to make sure that all this cream fur is glued down. Because that doesn't come off the face. At least not right there. Make sure that all this is glued down nice. You can actually see some of the lining on the inside of his head there. So we did get his head, his face lined. And when we go to stitch the head lining and the neck fur, it'll get stitched to the fur as well, which will help keep it from peeling off in the future. That's the last thing you want. To have loose, baggy lining on the inside of your head. It's not the end of the world, but you know, it just doesn't feel as nice, doesn't look as nice. Alright, and our head's mostly glued down. We just still have this section, which I definitely want glued down proper. Especially around the antlers. For fuck's sake. How's that? Is that a good camera angle? Perfect. Now you guys can see up here where I'm hot gluing. So you want to get right down around the edges here. Nice and snug. As well as a little bit in the middle. It's a lot of glue, but you don't want raw edges peeking up. Which with the longer fur in the back shouldn't be an issue anyway. But, you know. Short. There we go. All these stringies from hot glue. Normally I stitch on my hair proofs afterwards, but I figured with the antlers being in the way and the fact that there was only so much it's only going to go right in the middle. That it would be easier to sew it on beforehand. Should go into rotate him. And there goes our battery pack. Come here, buddy. Over on the cord. Why are we leaving? And we're going to glue down the back section of his head. And the kind of unfortunate part in all of this is that gluing the skin is probably the easiest part of getting the face skin on. Because after this, I have to sew a ladder stitch around a bunch of parts of the fursuit. I do like, though, I think this is how I'm going to do it from now on. I cut a piece here between the ears to be all long fur across the back of the head, because normally I stop it here at short fur and then make it long. I don't like this hard line that I usually get. And this also blends out the hair poof a lot nicer on the heads. So I think this is how I'm going to actually do the tops of my heads from now on. As annoying as it probably is going to be to sew it, it'll look a lot nicer. This whole thing is going to be a pain in my butt to sew, though, because I gotta sew around the edge of the ears, I gotta sew between the ears and the antlers, and I gotta sew around the mouths. Most of that is normal, but the problem is he has antlers, so it's just gonna kind of be in my way. These are the wrong pieces. So now we're gonna glue on the backs of his ears, and as you can see, they aren't the nicest shave, but again, he gets a cleanup shave. So this was just to get the bulk of the fur off. Which means it doesn't matter if I did a shit job earlier or not, because it will get fixed. And this is where long hair becomes a pain in my ass. It's been 5 seconds. 5 fucking seconds. But really, that just shows me that maybe I should glue the top of the head on after the ears. In order to save myself the hassle. In fact, maybe if I glue the ears on before the rest of the face overall, my life might be easier. We're learning. You are not truly a fursuit maker if you aren't constantly learning ways to improve. That's the difference between an artist and a corporation. Artists strive for improvement. Corporations call what they have perfection and sell it for an upcharge. There's always new things to do. To artist change. Whether that be what you're making or how you're making it, be an artist is to change. It's also very important to note that improvement is not linear. sometimes you might even not improve. You might do the complete opposite and degrade. But what matters is that the effort is there. I've had times where I felt like my suit quality had actually gone down compared to previous suits, and I felt like shit. And I figured out that that's just it. I learned what the difference was and why my suits weren't looking as good as they had. When we improve, we get better. We make decisions, we make choices. We learn. Brush out his little flutes here on his ears. I purposefully patterned them so that way the fur goes backwards, because that makes it look floofier than it is. Just a little trick up my sleeve. Gotta turn this way so I can't stop leaking. Actually, I need you to cool down a little bit. You're gonna be too liquidy for this part. So what I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the inside. I'm going to make sure I glue all the way around this inner edge. I'm going to line up that inner edge with these seams for between the darker and the lighter. Tuck that all in there like so, and hold it down. Press it. I might not even glue the inside. I might just glue those edges. And then that will give us our depth for our ears. You see, this guy's got some floof, and that adds a lot of depth to his ear. You can't really see his floof because his antlers are in the fucking way. But he has floof, I swear. I promise I'm not a liar. I'm gonna do this. And get it up over there. And oftentimes, it's the details you can't see that matter the most. And that's true for just about everything. I'm going to put another line of glue just all along this top edge here as extra support, since we don't have a lot of glue on this ear. It doesn't take a lot of glue to be properly supported, but this is going to be a high stress point due to the stitching that I'm going to do later, so I want to make sure it's not going to come undone. Be all loosey-goosey on us. So later, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to sew up along this outer edge and around the inside of the ears. And the inside of the ears is, quite frankly, the most biggest pain in my fucking ass. Every time. Doesn't matter what suit it's on. Just that inner curve is a pain in my ass. But that's why we have curved upholstery needles. I heard my phone go off. Woo. So many notifications. People are talking about it snowing today. We don't have shit here. I think we got a dusting this morning before I woke up, but there's nothing on the ground. It's not actively snowing. If it's gonna snow, it's gonna be later. But I think it's all lake effect stuff that people are getting, and we're just before the lake, so You don't see much of it. I know I've got family on the other side that got snow this morning. Hopefully I can show you guys this ear a little better when I start gluing it. Or at least afterwards, since his antlers are in the fucking way. He's gonna be real cool though. Very excited for this guy. He's so simple and yet also fairly unique for a character, you know? Like, he is sure just like a brown canine, but the antlers and the green eyes, like, it's very rare that I get a simple character that feels unique just by existing, you know? In the fact that he is fairly simple. Like, let me do this. Shooba. I'm just tucking these seams into the edges of the foam. I actually do want to glue down a little further down here. I didn't go very far. There we go. It's alright if you get a little bit of hot glue in our fur, because that's always... A tiny bit of hot glue is easy to get out. A big glob of hot glue is not easy to get out. There is a difference. Oftentimes little bits can be brushed and then removed with rubbing alcohol. Which, by the way, is the same stuff in your fursuit spray. So if you have a fursuit spray that has a particularly high concentration of very strong isopropyl in it, and you drench your suit in that shit, you might pop some hot glue seams. Granted, a normal misting spray isn't going to hurt it, but if you sit here and you hold a right up to a spot so it gets soaked and saturated, that's when you have issues. Because it actually chemically reacts with hot glue. And now we don't have enough heat for our hot glue to be hot glue. It is now cold glue. There we go. Oh, I am sweating today. It's not even that hot in here. It's actually really nice outside. But, like, I am just today. Just driving me nuts. He's a big boy. This is a big old fursuit head. Like, my first ever fursuit head was pretty much the same size as my actual head. And, Pig Mom actually has that head now. I don't know what she's done with it, if she even still has it. Someday, I would like to turn it into, make a 2.0 for comparison. Do a new whole head for it. But for now we just got this. But my first ever head was tiny, and my second and third heads were a little bit bigger. They actually fit nice, and they weren't super snug and uncomfy. And now I feel like my heads are just slowly getting monstrously huge. Like, I don't know how, but they're getting bigger and bigger by the day. Which is weird, because I feel like I do the same stuff. It's the same measurements, it's the same strategies, techniques, every time I make a suit, so I don't really know why. Like, I feel like, for example, the ears, right? The ears haven't scaled too much. This guy actually has fairly small ears for what I usually do on a canine suit. But his design had fairly small ears compared to most canines that I get, especially in relation to his antlers. And we wanted all the proportions to be as close to the reference sheet as possible. But like all my ears generally fit on a single piece of 8.5 by 11 paper as far as their patterning goes. And my muzzles are always 4 to 5 inches wide, maybe with a little bit more shaping on the front end if it's like a really round shape like a cat or a dragon. And then a lot of my heads get a little bit of extra cheekage here, which I did not do on him because we wanted a very square look to him, which I feel like we've achieved. I don't know what he's got going on down here. But I feel like this right here just needs more glue. Because that's all doing whatever the fuck that's got going on. We're gonna glue on the fur. And let it adhere wherever it lands. There we go. I think there's just excess fabric along here. Because it connects to the underside of the jaw, so it kind of cuts through. Thank you for the check-in! Someday I'm going to get custom audios for those, for the alerts. I'll make some or something. I'll get recordings of forest. Ranting with Luna about work. That's fair. I do that all the time. What do you think this is? This is me ranting about work. But I'll get like audio recordings of Forrest grumbling or something, and put those on for the alerts. Get them barking for like follows and subs and stuff like that. Forrest barks a lot. Bingus does not. If you're lucky, you might even be able to get them howling. I've never heard Forrest howl. I've heard him scream. As a puppy, he never howled, he never whined. He just screamed. That's all he does. He doesn't know how to whine like a normal dog. He just knows how to scream bloody murder. He just goes, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, it sounds like he's being brutally murdered. But he was really just in his cage, you know, as a puppy, not wanting to be in a separate room because he was a puppy, but he needed to learn that it's okay to be by himself. Especially when I was busy doing stuff like vacuuming or, you know, not keeping an eye on him when he was that little, because potty training is hard. Potty training is not for the weak. But this is our guy, look at him. And he will get cleaned up, because he's got all this, like, extra skin. That's going to get sewn down to his mouth, so all of this will get nice and snug like so. And then we'll shave him down. He's going to look a lot less bulky. And then, of course, we've got get in there. Blech. 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 It doesn't help that it's Mochi Minky, so it gets caught and then it stretches. We got our pickable nose. Look at us goes. But we do have all this extra little bit of fur right here that I actually want to kind of get rid of. So that'll get trimmed down extra probably by hand later. And then all of this will get trimmed and the eyebrows. This still needs a brush in, and his cheek floofs need a brush in. Oh, I never did show you guys his little... If we look uppies. I don't know if, yeah. He's got little ear floofs in his ears. So... Once when everything's all brushed out and not so scrunkly, it'll look a lot nicer. But he does have floofs. The problem is I really don't feel like sewing right now. That's honestly the big problem. am hot and sweaty for no reason. I blame my meds. And I think I need to take a break, because I have been spending, like, since I stayed up really late last night, actually, getting his face skin sewn, so I could glue it on today. So I was up until, like, 1 or 2 in the morning just sewing. And then I went to bed, and I was still up until, like, 5 in the morning, and then I woke up at 10. If things be the way they are, guys, it is what it is. I'm also missing an eyebrow, for some reason. It happens sometimes, good old alopecia. You can see I'm missing half of this eyebrow. Good stuff. But, hello, baby mans. Would you like to say hi? Hello. Does everybody want to say hi to the baby mans? Come here, baby mans. Come say hi to the camera. Come say hi to chat. Come here. Yeah, you were just over here bugging me. Show them your pretty little face. Show them your pretty little face. You're not even close enough. Here we go. Can you look right here? And now I gotta move my chair more. Not enough wiggle room over here for me to move out of the way. Bingus is over here wagging her tail in the chair. Here, come here, Forrest. Yeah, you good girl. Yeah. Forrest, come here, baby mans. He's like, I don't wanna. You can come over here. What? Don't be eating shit. Bad. You know better. You sneaky little fucker. Get over here. So this little gremlin here likes to eat stuff off the floor, especially if it's small and fuzzy. Yes, you do. Usually, now here's the thing, he is fairly smart. Stop licking me. God damn. He is fairly smart, as stupid as he is. So he does know that he's not supposed to have stuff. Which means his solution, usually, yeah, is to pick stuff up, not chew, and walk out of the room as if there's nothing in his mouth. And then chew on it in the living room. So I was surprised. I'm surprised that you started chewing on it in front of me. You haven't picked stuff up off the floor in a hot minute. I thought you were done with that. I thought you had grown up and learned not to eat stuff that's not food. Yeah. You're a big little butthole. Yes, you are. This is the butthole. He can see you even though his hair is in the way. Oh, boop, the baby man. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. Look at his big old eyeballs. He does have to have his hair tied up now, because his hair is so long, if I untie it, he can't see shit. Hang on. Stop licking me. Stop licking me. Can you sit? No, that's not a sit. Okay, good boy. Boop. Sure. You can stay sitting and boop at the same time, though. Try that again. Thank you. Shake. No. Shake. Good boy. Down. No. I know damn well you heard me. Thank you. Be dead. He's like, but I don't wanna. Alright. This is the babies. These are the babies. I realized I was in the way for like 90% of that. Me and my big fat noggin. Yo, babies. Stop licking me! Good lord. He just got a haircut today, so his face is all naked. Naked face. He's also a black dog, so he just hides in the shadow. Oh. Bingus is good girl, though. Bingus is comfy. She's a comfy baby. But, I do think we're going to call that good for stream today, because I'm sure the dogs want to go do stuff. It is their dinner time. So they're all excited for food. We're gonna go raid somebody. Who do we know that we can raid? Do we know anybody that we can raid? I see a strawberry! Let's go raid Artsy Mad Woman. Because they're doing... Yeah, they really do. They love dinner. Um, they love food and they're big fatties, so they will happily leave me in a heartbeat for the sake of getting some food and having some dinner. You can see Bingus is very excited. So I will see you guys sometime this week, probably Wednesday. I think it's our next stream. And we'll get. Hopefully, this guy will be at least all sewn up, and we can start working on his neck and head if we don't already have it patterned. But I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye, guys. Bye.